Got to get all the toys working here. Okay.
All right, well, you have to go through that whole thing again. No, I won't go through it again. Anyway, this is the Evernote presentation. As I say, I'm the purveyor of information overload. So I am constantly looking at things and reading articles, and I have an iPad, I have an Android tablet that I love because I want it. It was free. But the iPad I use, it's under my arm or in my hands almost 24 hours a day. I have an iPhone, I have a laptop, I have a desktop. So I'm finding information in different places. And you all know that when you save things, what happens? You don't remember where you saved it, what you called it, and so on. This is where Evernote comes in. First of all, when I do presentations, as I was a boy growing up, and anytime I got in front of a group, everyone always said, you got to start out with something to make everybody in a good humor. You got to, well, you know what, I couldn't find any jokes that were appropriate for here. So there's our two dogs, Susie and Carmela, and they just wanted to wish you a happy Easter. And getting them to stay there for even the split second for the photo was a job. But anyway, so hopefully that got you in a good mood. Now, what about Evernote? Evernote's for mobile devices. The Android tablet, Android phones, the iPhone, iPad, iPod, third generation or whatever they call it, the BlackBerry, the Windows Phone, WebOS for mobile devices, for your desktop, Mac OS X. That one in the middle, by the way, is the Windows Touch operating system, the Windows operating system 7, 6, XP, 7, 8 works on all of them. It works with Safari, Chrome, Firefox, IE. So it works with all of the major browsers and some of the minor browsers. Before we really get into Evernote, most of what I do is I read RSS feeds. Is there anyone here that doesn't know what an RSS feed is? That's what I do. Okay, so here's a refresher course or a course in about 3 slides. It basically is taking information from a lot of sources and congregating it in one place so you can read it all at once. And I love RSS feeds. It's short for a rich site summary, sometimes called rich, and I'd never heard it called that until I found this. And I'll show you the Evernote that I have on it. But to me, it was always really simple syndication, which is what Wikipedia calls it. Most RSS feeds are updated automatically by some kind of a publishing system, and you get some kind of an application, and the application kind of brings it all together. You can pick and choose the topics, you can pick and choose the sources that you want, and they're all in one place. It saves me hours of time and research that everything is in one place. Yesterday, it had been 1 day since I had checked my RSS feeds, and I had 1,700 messages in there. Can you imagine going through and finding 1,700 different locations to read the articles? No, they're in one place, and you click on it. And I'll show you how I use that with Evernote here in just a few minutes. But once it's set up, it gives subscribers access to your favorite blogs, news sites, podcasts, video feeds, and virtually any other constantly updated web presence, with all with minimal effort required by you. The aggregation apps, such as there's apps that you can download. I have Feedly that I'm testing because Google Reader is going away. That was announced a couple of weeks ago, and those of us who use RSS feeds a lot, that was a major catastrophe. There's some space in here. There's some chairs up there and back there. Thank you for coming. Newsletters and other, Pulse is another, and Google Reader is still open until July 1st. But imagine browsing the latest CNN stories, the Wall Street Journal articles, and your favorite blogs all on the same page. Well, that's what an RSS feed does for you. One publisher might just send a paragraph, and it might be just a simple paragraph. Others, they have their whole article there. But the point is, it keeps everything together. Readers don't do anything more than you subscribe to the feed, and it shows up there on your screen. I could do a whole session just on RSS feeds, and I won't. Here's what a typical RSS feed. This is from Feedly RSS Reader. There's different ways it can be posted. Some of them are really fancy, and you can slide, and you got little boxes and so on. I want to read it quickly. I want to go down the list and see what I want, and then you click on it, and it takes you to the article. So here's one on Google Art Project. It has nearly 2,000 works from street art to prized photos. That's all the information I have, but I can tell from that list which one I want to take a look at. And when I click on it, it looks like this. It takes me right to the article. So it aggregates all of that information. Now I've looked at that big list. There might only be one there that I want to look at, and that takes me right to it. Okay, so here's what it looks like on Engadget, which is another source of information that aggregates from a lot of different places. So sometimes I have to click on the article within Engadget, which will then take me to this one happened to be from I'm not sure where it came from, but sometimes it might be the Wall Street Journal, and they picked it up and they put it on their site. So this is what the article looked like, and then when I clicked on it, again, I just want to make sure that what I'm looking at here. This is what I got. This is in Firefox, and this was the article. So I've got it narrowed down, and then I said, okay. If you'll notice up on the corner there, because I've added an add-on to Firefox, it actually has the elephant, which is the icon for Evernote. So I click that, and it brings down the boxes. Clip article, clip full page, or clip the URL. If I want to clip the URL, it shows it in the screen there. When I save it, the Evernote, the note that I'm going to save, is just going to have the link. So sometimes that's the quickest way to do it, the easiest way, and then later on I can go back in and use that link. But I can also clip the full page. But when you click the full page, you get all of the ads, you get all the menus, and so on. And I don't always want that. When you click the full page, you get, as I said, you get the menus and you get a lot of extra things. Sometimes, and it depends upon what the source is, how narrowed down you can get. Sometimes you can't clip the article. It also depends upon what browser you're using, whether you're on your iPad or an Android or on your desktop. So sometimes you have to get a little bit more than what you want, but at least you've got the article. And then you can edit a lot of that junk out of there very easily on your desktop with the Evernote. If I'm losing you a little bit on what Evernote is, I'm going to show you first how to get some stuff, and then we're going to look at Evernote and what you do with it. So if you're kind of saying, I'm still not understanding what he's talking about, hang in there. You will. So sometimes the graphics come with it and sometimes not. Again, depending upon the source and how they put it together. Sometimes you get the pictures, sometimes not. Sometimes they're not in the same place because it's not saving it's not saving the HTML. It's saving it in its own format. So after I cleaned it up, this is what that article looked like. And this is an Evernote. And you'll notice that you can do a lot of editing. You can add things, and you can add things to the note after you've done them. You can take notes and aggregate them yourself, and that's what I'm going to show you. I'm looking right now at a slideshow. Well, in a slideshow, you're going to have a whole bunch of pictures or articles, one after the other, but it's the same topic. I want them all in one note. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture some information from each of the slides, and then I'm going to edit them into one Evernote. So what I'm doing here is there's the page, and all I wanted to do was to grab where it says over here, All I want is this area. That picture's got nothing to do with the article. All the rest of the stuff are ads and other junk. All I want is that bit of information. And because it's 9 items, I want to grab all 9 and have them in one article, in one place. I don't want 9 files or 9 notebooks. So, or notes. So what I do is I highlight just that area, and I'll show you that in the... But this is what I ended up with. And there's that, and that's the only part of that slide I really wanted to have. Oops. Gotta hit the right button. Okay, I then went to the next slide and I said, clip the article. I'm not clipping the whole page, I'm clipping the article. And so it allowed me to highlight just the area that I wanted. And so I'm going to clip that, and now I've got it. Now I've got 2 notes with information I want to make one. So what I do is I open both the notes, and then say I want to make a new note. And all I do is copy and paste, and let's see, whoops, I went too far. And now I've got both of those in one note, and I can delete the other 2. And as we get into what Evernote is, one of the important things to remember, everything's totally searchable. And so not only are you storing all your information, but you can search all that information as well. I keep hitting the wrong button.
Question.
Sure.
Are the notes stored on your hard drive or up in the cloud somewhere?
They are stored in the cloud. I thought that it did store them on, like my iPad, until I put it in airplane mode when I was on the plane, and I couldn't see them. It came up and said, no, you can't get them. Parts of them, some of them are. Yes?
You can choose on a notebook by notebook basis what is downloaded to your iPad or Android and what isn't.
Okay.
And on a Windows or Mac machine, it's stored both on your computer and on the cloud.
That's what I thought, yeah. On the desktop, they are stored there, but I didn't realize you can choose. And you do that from the iPad, or you do it from the...
You do it from the iPad, and you choose which notebooks you want to sync down, and then you can get to them all.
Okay, there's so much to this program, and I'm still learning about it. I read a whole manual on the way here, and I discovered some things, and I put them in Evernote. And then when I got off the plane, when it's synced up, now it's on everything. And I will show you that. Hopefully we'll have time at the end. I'm kind of going through this fast because I've got a lot of slides, and I do want to, and if we have time at the end, I'll actually show you my Evernotes. Okay, another thing you do is you can have photos. And I found this photo. I just did a search for it. I said, well, I want some kind of a photo. When you bring a photo in to Evernote, it figures out what the words are. So it's saying, and I have no idea where this came from or where Oak Grove is, or which Oak Grove it is. So I don't know this guy or anything, but it looked like an interesting picture to stick up here. And when I put it in my Evernote and I searched, you'll notice that there's some yellow around here because I did a search on the name and it found it in my list of notes from the picture. I didn't have to do anything. And this is when I was still in the free version. I've gone to the premium version, which I'll talk about the differences, because there are some limits, and I reached them trying to put this all together for this presentation. So I signed up for the premium. But even in the free version, it does that. So if you've got a picture, and they show in some of the articles that I've read about Evernote, they usually show a picture of an airplane, and it's got the numbers on the side of it, and you can search on those numbers and it'll come up. So it really is, it's got some built-in OCR, which is really nice. And this is what Evernote looks like on all of the programs. I took this and I think I'm from my desktop, but this is, I think I was doing some other looking, but that's the one it was on, but I will explain how that is set up in just a few minutes. But that's what the picture would look like when you're looking at the Evernote screen. I also imported the schedule from here as it was a PDF, and I stuck it in, and I did a search on Katie Gertz's last name. And from all of my 1,200 notes, it came up like this. So even though it was a PDF, when I brought it in, and I didn't do anything to it, when I did the search, it found Katie Gertz's name and brought up the document that her name is in. So it not only is searchable by the articles and keeps everything in one place, but you can find things within the documents when you're searching as well. This is a typical email from my Outlook. Because I had Outlook on my computer when I installed Evernote, Outlook is Evernote compatible. So it sticks a button. So any email that I have in Outlook, all I have to do is click a button and it adds it. It comes up first with the new clip, okay? There's the name of it. You want some tags to make it easier to find. Where do you want to have it? Which notebook do you want to put it in? And once you say add note, there's the note. And what I did is I just took my name and put something over it, so when I post it up on YouTube, that my address isn't in the whole world. But it took the email and made an exact copy, and so I can do a search for that. So sometimes I email stuff to myself, or I have in the past, I can just grab that and stick it in my note. If you have, how many here have Androids? Okay, in Android, this is what I did some screen, actually this is from an article, but I've also done some screen captures, I think, from my Android. There's some things you can do. You can look at notes, notebooks, tags, places. You can do some sorting. You can add pictures. With Evernote on your Android, and this is true of the others as well, you can use a multi-shot camera. You can take several pictures and choose which picture you want. A page camera, a smart notebook, a speech-to-text. Sometimes it's easier to speak your idea, and it actually will do it. I've not played with that at all, but they're supposed to be able to do it. This is the Evernote's core feature set includes the ability to write notes, so you can put notes in directly. And also, Evernote figures on your mobile products that have GPSs built in, it figures out where you're taking that note, and it puts in the address. So if you're here and you say add the location, or it does it actually automatically, it knows where you are. So be careful if you need to be. That it can keep track of where you've been. And I've not played with this, but you can take multiple pictures and decide which one you want or add them all. Again, it's because this was something from the Android. You can do screen captures, you can do put information in from the Android, and again, it's all searchable. This was a search for the word butter. This is from my iPhone or my iPad. I happen to be involved in the Florida Drupal camp. I'm on the committee and I'm doing some help, and our user group is one of the sponsors, and we actually have paired with this the Drupal group in our area, which is totally unrelated to Evernote. But if your user group wants to get involved with some other groups, they don't have any infrastructure. They don't have a treasury or anything. So we've taken them in as part of our organization for the infrastructure. And so for this Drupal camp, we're their treasurer. And so we're paying their bills and so on, and they've donated a whole bunch of money to us, and it's really worth it. And we give them volunteers to help sign in and so on. But this is a screen capture of their page. Here's Evernote on my iPad. I happen to be using, I believe this is Google, this is let's see, I got to remember which program I use. Anyway, this is the program I use on my iPad and you'll see that I have all kinds of topics and sources on the left. On the right are the articles. So I found this 40 Years of Icons article, and I wanted to take a look at it. So when I clicked on it, here is the article on my iPhone or my iPad. Could be the iPhone as well. Here's the article, and what I did is then I went to the website. I double-clicked it again, and it took me to the website, which is The Verge. And then, because I'm using, depending upon whether I'm using Safari or I also use a dual browser, it's called dual browser. It works with Evernote better than Safari does, but you can see that there are several things that you can connect, but Evernote is there. So more and more programs are tying into Evernote to make it easier to grab the information and add it to Evernote. Once you do that, I already clicked the send to Evernote, and you can see that it's saying saving to Evernote. And it does, and then it brings me back to the article, and this is what it looked like. All those menu items and so on now are links. And so then I had to clean them up. And you can see I started deleting stuff, and I got it down to this part, and then it ended up like this. So just by going in and editing the note, I can backtrack and remove a lot of the stuff that I don't want. I have to be that way, and I'm not really anal about it, but enough that a lot of times I like to go in and clean it up. You don't have to do that, because the information is there. I just don't want to do a search and have it find things because they're in some kind of a menu link that I don't care about anyway. So you can clean things up in the notes. Here's another article, How to Create Your Own Custom Windows 8 Start Menu. And when I grab it, this is what it, or when I went to it, this is what it looked like. Again, some RSS feeds only give you a smattering of the article and then a link to where it is. So you can go to it, or this might be all you want to grab. Another thing you can do in dual browser, and I can also do this on my desktop in Firefox or IE, you can highlight the information that you want. But one thing I like about the dual browser on my iPad, that it has, and I'm pointing to it on my screen, you can't see me pointing to it, it says click to Evernote, which Safari doesn't have. So that's why I, a lot of times, grab the URL. It's a little bit extra work, but I'll grab the URL from Safari and then go out and open up dual browser and then use it because I want to highlight and just grab some information. So I grabbed this really neat set of shortcuts for Windows 8 and highlighted it and said click to browser, and here is the article, and that whole chart is in the article. And I was able to save it, so that became my note. Again, this is, I believe, in Safari, and I was able to do the Evernote. And if I'm on a web page, I can either open with Safari, I can add to bookmark, and then you'll see it clip to Evernote. Now, this is what Evernote looks like on my NEXUS 7. So we're now going to hone in on what Evernote is. If I've lost you, we're going to get into what Evernote looks like. Yes?
Are you demonstrating the premium version of Evernote or the free version?
All of this was taken pretty much with the free version. I only signed up for the premium a few days ago because I was down to about, and I'll explain the differences between the free and the premium. It's only how many notes you can upload per month. It's by size. But everything I'm showing is part of the free. So this was on my NEXUS, on my Android, which is Android. It looks just like this on my desktop. It looks just like this on my iPhone, my iPad. So it's the same. But you can change it so it's just a list of things. But this is these are actual notes. And at this point, I had 36 notes. I have a lot more in the month of March. Here's a note that I took. This is a watch. I wear my phone. Well, I'm anxious for one of these phones or one of these watches that talks to your phone, so I can have the phone in my pocket or something. So I've been watching a lot of those, and I'm grabbing them and throwing them in my notes. And I just thought I'd throw that up there. This is, again, Evernote. What I'm doing here is I'm looking at my email on my NEXUS. And I've got an email. I subscribe to a magazine or a newsletter called Windows Secrets. And there was something about RSS feeds. Remember I showed you that slide with all that? Well, I got it from here. What I did is I highlighted it. I clicked on I want to share it, and I use, because the NEXUS uses Everclip, and instead of saying Evernote, if I did Evernote, it would get either the whole article or just the URL. But I want the clip, and what I did is I just grabbed the information I highlighted, and there it is. Then I was able to take it from the clip and then take it out and put it into my PowerPoint. There's exactly what I had up in my PowerPoint. And that's how I got it. Here's another article that I got from my NEXUS. It was about the interface with the Fine Reader. It's about an iPhone, and I'm doing this on my Android. But you'll see over here is this little button here. And that symbol is share. And by clicking on that, it comes up with this screen, and I can either Everclip it or Evernote it, or I can do other things with it as well. But what I did is Everclipped it, and it ended up there. Okay, now, Evernote on your desktop. It says on Windows, it looks like this on your Mac. How many here are Mac people? Okay, it's going to look the same, I believe. But this is what it looks. I say Evernote on Windows, but this is the desktop. The full version of Evernote. Now we're going to get into what Evernote looks like and what you can do with it, and a little bit about the organization of it. But this is what it looks like. On the left is a list of all the notebooks. A notebook is nothing more than a folder or a subfolder. You can have them nested. I don't do that, but you can see I've got notes for. I'm in the International Order of Eagles. I'm the Fraternal Order of Eagles. So I've got some stuff that I say for that, some for APCUG, Camtasia, CES, and so on. And I've made notebooks. You can make up to 250 notebooks. And those are folders. And then you can put your articles and sort them by the notebooks. But you also have all notes, so you can look at all of the notes. And then we'll get into that in just a little bit. But you can you create your own. Let me go back here. Also, in the free version, you get some advertising. And this is pretty much the extent of the advertising. So it's not intrusive, it's not a problem, and it's, some programs, when you get advertising, it's a pain. Yes, Bob.
On the iPad, if you accidentally click on that for the premium, it'll go up and it'll give you, like, say, the cost per year and cost per month. And every time you go in the Evernote, it'll keep popping up. So you need to go back to the App Store and click on it again and then open it, and it'll be fine. Okay,
so if you open it by mistake, you want to go back into the App Store and close it.
Okay.
Okay. And you can go to premium from here as well and update. But the advertising is very limited. Now, on the right is the actual article that's highlighted. So whichever article, and it's kind of hard to see here. This is the one that's highlighted, so that's the one that's here. If you come down here and you highlight that one, that's what you're going to see in that screen. So and if you double click it, it opens it up like a separate window. Now, there's several things you can do. One is, notice the sync button. And that means synchronize with all of your other, or what's out there. So if I'm adding things with my iPad, and when I get home, sometimes it doesn't automatically sync when I open up, so I push that button, it'll go out, it'll grab everything that I had already added, and it's there. So it syncs between all of your devices. So if you've got Evernote on your phone, your iPad, your computer, your laptop, all those notes are all on each of those, or available to you on each of them. So as you're traveling, like Wi-Fi here, I can look at all my notes. And it's fantastic because there's all the information. So I'm congregating and aggregating all of my information in one place. A new note, you can click that and it brings up a blank note. You can type in some stuff. You can paste in a picture. You can copy and paste from a different source. So if you don't want to go through all of the gyrations, just put some information in. You can do that. And then you can actually add the URL in the place where the URL goes, where you found that information, or if it's from your computer, something you wrote, or some notes you're taking. If you're at a meeting, you can take notes right in here, click, and when you get home, you hit sync, and it's on your desktop, and you can copy and paste. You don't have to say, oh, gee, I need to sync my iPad with my iTunes or iCloud and get it, and then copy and paste it and get it into Evernote. No, you can do it directly right into Evernote. Share. One of the neat things about Share, Bob wanted to send me something earlier. We were testing something, but he brought up his Evernote, hit the Share button, found it with a note. When he hit it, there were several items. One of them is email. He put in my email address in about 10 seconds. It was on my iPad because I had my email there. And also, if I was home, it would be in my email there. So you can share. I'm on some Yahoo groups or some Google groups, and I like to share with them. Doesn't work as well that way. When I try to send to the Google group, which is the same address that I have on my Evernote, is the one that I use in the Google group. I should be able to send. For whatever reason, Google Groups doesn't like that, so I have to send it to my email address and then turn around and forward it to the Google group. But it sends the whole Evernote when it does that. When you share it via email, it sends the whole the note. So whatever you have in that note, when you want to share it with your group or with a group of people or with your friend down the road or somebody else in your user group, you can do that very easily. The usage button is very handy, and the photo I have, the screen capture I have of that is when I was still in the free version. And the free version allows you 60 megabytes of notes uploaded a month. So if you're not doing a lot of pictures and you're just doing text, it's going to be just a little bit. So you can do a lot of notes. If you've got a lot of media in it, then you're going to have fewer notes that you can do. What happened is that I started getting up around 50 megabytes when I was putting this together, and I had like 18 days left in the month, because it does track. You can see the number of days left in the cycle, and I started getting nervous because I use this a lot. So I went for the premium. Premium is only $45 a year or $5 a month. But I'll talk about that in just a second. You'll notice here, too, that I put a little box over the address, but an email routes to, with Evernote, you get an Evernote email address. You don't want to give that to anybody, because emailing to that address puts it in your Evernote. And that's free, and that's part of the service. So if you're somewhere and you want to add an Evernote and you're on somebody else's computer, just send an email. You take whatever the information is, send it as an email to that address, and it automatically is put in as a note. So it's another way to add information to Evernote. This is a big picture of what I was just showing you. Notice at this point the account level is free. It has my username, it has my email address to email notes, and then it keeps track of how much you've used. And at this point, I was 16 days left in the cycle, and I'd already used close to 50 of the 60 megabytes, and I even got a lot closer than that. And so that's when I went to premium, which I tried to avoid. Again, going back to Evernote, here is the note. Excuse me. To the right is, it's highlighted. To the right is the note that we have. So the center lists all of the notes. And because I'm in the all notes area right here, I'm seeing all of my notes. If I was in just one of the notebooks, I would only see the notes in that notebook. But what I'm going to show you here is in this area right here, where it says notes by, that's all those are sortable. And you can sort them by the title, when it was created, when you update it, by the source URL, by the size of it. And you can see, I'm not going to read them all, but you can see there's a lot of ways in which you can sort how the information shows up. I like to do it by when it was created, so I can get an idea. I can find things because I remember, oh, that was yesterday when I put it up there. If I go back in and make some changes to it, and I want it to be what's the latest versions of things, then I might do it by created or updated, I'm sorry. But you can see there's a lot of different ways in which you can sort it. Then also, the way you view it. I've got it by snippet, so it shows just a little bit of the article. You can also do a thumbnail of it, and that's when it's got the boxes, and then the list is just a list of them. Have it set to whichever way you want. So again, it's you can make it very personal and be able to find the information you want. And I don't think I did a slide on this, so I just want to point out, notice the search area. All you do is move your mouse into the search area, or your finger, and if it's a pointer, you type in what you want to search for, and it goes through all the notes or all of that notebook and searches for that word and finds all of the articles. And then in the center column, you'll only see the results of that search. And then you can pick out which one you want to look at, and then again, double-click it. It'll open it in a separate window, or you can just read it in the right panel. Again, this is what it looks like. I don't think there was anything there except just a screenshot. Now, there's lots of help for Evernote. Once you're out there and you start doing it, this is from their website. They have step-by-step guides on the overview of it, the Windows desktop, Windows 8, Mac, web, Android, and another one for iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch. So if you're using any of those, you can go to their website. Before I go on, there's one other place I found a really nice 36-page PDF file. It explains it, and yesterday at the luncheon, they were talking about places to get help for help books on iPads, and somebody asked, where can I get a book, or what's the best book on iPad? MakeUseOf.com. If you've never gone there, and if you're in a user group, there's a site that's invaluable. They have all kinds of books that are free in PDF format that you can download. You just have to register with them by leaving your name and your email address. And then they say that you need to put in a password to get the... And they tell you what that is. And it's one term, and it stays the same forever. But you go there and you can download it. And they've got a 36-page PDF on how to use Evernote. And that's what I was reading on the plane yesterday while I was coming here. And I found I learned some things I didn't know.
What's the URL?
MakeUseOf.com.
And the password's always make use of.
Yeah, I didn't say that. But they have it on all kinds of topics. And if you ever need... if you're doing a SIG or you're doing a computer user group meeting and you can't come up with a topic, take one of those and use that as a basis of your meeting. You'll have a great meeting with lots of information, screen captures, and so on. So make use of. Anyway, getting back to Evernote. Evernote uses. Keep everything in sync. With Evernote, all your notes and clips and images, as you can see, are in one place. You can remember things you like. And I'm going to talk about some add-ons that they have, but even if you don't use the add-on for Evernote Food, you can just clip recipes, and I've done that. Put some recipes in there. It's searchable, so if you want to search, if you put a recipe up for meatloaf and you got 3 or 4 of them, if you search on meatloaf, those are the notes that are going to come up. So it's a great place. Whenever you find something, highlight it, stick it there, and you can use it. Say favorite web pages, and you saw how I did that. Research better. Make a notebook for the topic that you're going to be presenting on, or that you're researching, and then as you get your notes, store them in there. I do as I said earlier, I do a digital photo sig. Well, throughout the month, whenever I find anything that might be some information that I might want to share, or it might be a good topic for one of those meetings. I grab it, save a note, put it in the digital photo sig notebook, and then just before, when I say, okay, what am I going to do this month, I go into that folder and I just start search. I just go through all of the different notes that are in there, and I say, oh, that's a good topic for this meeting. And that goes with what I'm going to be talking about. Or I couldn't come up with a topic, and now there's some ideas for it. Planning your next trip. I put everything together for this trip. I have my itinerary, my plane information, my car rental information, the hotel information, all in one place. Again, in Evernote, so it's on my iPad, my iPhone, my notebook, as well as at home. So when I got here, if I needed any of the information, and I'm going to have to look up, I don't remember how I'm going home now, well, I got to look up and see, okay, there's my flight number, and I also put in the code so I can immediately, you always lose that piece of paper that's got the code on it to get your boarding pass. I know right where to go to find it. Evernote Premium, $45 a year, $5 a month. You probably don't need it. Don't buy it until you do. And I did, and I probably only needed it for this 1 month, but you're worth it. What it does is it supersizes your uploads. Instead of 60 megabytes, you get 1 gigabyte of uploads. Yes?
It also changes your search options. On the free one, it only indexes PDFs, and if you go premium, it indexes Office documents.
Yeah, it does give you some other, and you'll see right over here. And that's what it's saying. The PDF and document search for text inside, attached Office and iWork documents, spreadsheets, and presentations, as well as scanned PDFs. It'll do that in the premium version. It only does the PDFs.
And also the offline notebooks I was talking about, it looks like that's a premium version, or I didn't know that.
Okay. Do you have a premium version?
Yeah.
Okay, and I have it, and I don't know how to turn it on, so I'm going to have to figure that out. Again, as I said, it was just the last few days that I bought the premium, so I've not played with a lot of these things. And then the top priority search support. If you have problems, you can go to them as a premium user. And also in premium, you can work together. You can allow others to add their notes, and making Evernote a great tool for working in a project. I don't do a lot of that, but some people do. Your note history. It actually has a button in each note on history. If you've done anything to that, if you've done some editing, and it kind of itemizes what you've done. There is a limit, and I believe it's 20 megabytes is the largest file that you can upload in the free version, and it's 100 megabytes in the premium version. And there's faster image recognition. Remember I showed you the mayor's photo? There wasn't much there for it to recognize, so it didn't take long for it to, but it does do it a lot quicker if you've got a big picture and there's a lot of information. A lot of times I don't take notes when I as I said, I'm an Fraternal Order of Eagles. When I go there, there's a list of events coming up, there's things going on. I don't write down everything. I take a picture of it with my iPhone. Well, I can set it and put it in and my Evernote, and a lot of times, even if it's handwritten, sometimes it figures out what it is. But it is there, and I can always go look at it. Yes.
What's the difference with the PDF and the document search? You don't have any of that stuff?
You've got a PDF search in the free version.
Okay.
But in the paid version, it also will do, let's see, let's go back.
Everything, all the work.
It also does iWorks and Office documents.
Okay.
iWorks is the Mac Office program. The Microsoft Office documents, spreadsheets, presentations, as well as your scanned PDFs. Also, you can put a pin on it. In the premium, you can't, so you can make it so other people, if they pick up your iPad or your iPhone or even on your desktop, I believe. No, just the Android. It's just Android, not the iPad. And then you can hide promotions. You can hide some things with it. So. Evernote and more. Not because Evernote has been around long enough. It's on the desktop. It's 4.63. I think point something is the latest version. And on the Android and the iPhone, it's version 5. But it's been around long enough that there's a lot of extras that are free that are out there as well. There's Evernote, which is remember everything. There's Sketch. There's Penultimate, which is gives you some digital handwriting. Evernote Web Clipper, which the Android version comes with. Evernote Hello. I was going to play with it, and I just I had too much to do here. But it allows you to, if you come to a conference like this and you meet Bob here, I can say, Bob, let me take your picture. You take the picture. You take his business card. You take a picture of the business card, and you can even have him fill in his email address and so on. It keeps all that information in one place. And so you can build a bunch of information, help you remember people. And of course, and I can see that there's a couple of gray hairs in here. We don't ever forget anything. So this wouldn't be of any help to a lot of us, but some of us it would. Evernote Food, it has to do with, it does recipes a little bit more thoroughly. And it allows you to take a picture of a dish and then aggregate information about it and so on. Evernote clearly is distraction-free reading. It basically strips everything out and just gives you text. So if you find a page of something and you want to use Evernote clearly, and it'll just give you the text of it. Evernote Peak is, what it does, it creates cards. What do they call them?
Flashcards.
I'm sorry?
Flashcards.
Flashcards.
Flashcards. Flashcards. See in a moment. Flashcards. And why they call it Peak is if you've got an iPad, it's got one of those screens. You can have, if you lift just the bottom up, you can see the card, and then if you lift the whole thing up, then you see what it is and more information about it. So you can use it as an educational tool or just to play with.
Is this available in free?
That's all free.
Okay.
Then there's Evernote Business. And Evernote Business, I'm not going to get into it all. It's paid for. You pay by the seat. And I believe it's about $10. But if you're in an organization, you give it this. You create a business Evernote. You give everybody the same. They're all part of the same network type of thing, and so you can coordinate notes between several people. It gets expensive because it's, I believe, when I say $10 a person, it's $10 a person a month. So it can get a bit steep. It would be great for user groups, except for the fact that it's so expensive. Here's just, I did do a slide on the Evernote Business. Easy onboarding, smart data ownership, simple use. I'm not going to get into it. If you're interested in it, go to their website and look up Evernote Business. It's $10 per user per month. So if you got 10 people, that's $100 a month. But you can see that it does a lot of neat things. If you're involved in a business, it might be something you might want to use in the business. Get Evernote, it's free. Any questions? If not, I will show you a little bit about my Evernote. But How about any questions? What time do we finish?
I have a question. I guess you're going to get into it, but do you use this just for taking notes of things you read on the internet, or do you use it for personal information also?
Let's look at my Evernote. Okay. Here's my Evernotes. And yes, I don't have good memory. And my girlfriend has things that she likes. So when she said, I like this perfume, I'm not going to remember what Christmas time, what her favorite, the name of the perfume was that she liked. I got it in Evernote. When she said she wanted some lip gloss that she liked, I went to the website where it was and I grabbed an Evernote on it. And so there it is, how much it is, there's the link, and so Christmas time, I clicked on that, went to the site and ordered some. So the answer is, yes, I find a lot of personal uses for it that have made life a lot easier. So there's a lot of things, yes, you can do, and you can see from some of my some pet stuff. I can't remember the name of our dog food. It's a special dog food she needs for her dog. So I keep a copy of the label. I took a picture of the label and I have it up there. So when I go to the pet store, I look it up and then I can find it and I get the right ones and I take it back. So yeah, I use it for a lot of personal stuff.
And what's the limit of number of notebooks you can have?
There are 250
notebooks.
But notes, there's no limit. It's the limit on the size. It's 60 megabytes per month for free and 1 gigabyte for the premium.
But, you know, I use it quite a lot different than you. I basically replaced my personal filing system with it. So I have all my health documents out there, all my auto documents. If I buy something, I go to the web and find a PDF manual and put it out there and then throw the manual away. Everything to do with my home, I've got in a home folder. Everything to do with computers. So I use it more as a filing system rather than a document off the web system.
Right. It's very versatile. There's so many different ways. Did everyone hear what he said? Okay.
And one other thing about notebooks here, you can make them so they sync up, but you can also have private notebooks that only stay on your desktop computer. You're responsible for backing them up, but things like taxes and financial information, I put into Evernote, but it never leaves my computer.
Yeah, and
How do you set it up that way?
When you create a notebook, you can specify that it's either private, or it's synced, or it's public. And by the way, one thing you didn't mention is that you can also get all this stuff from any web browser. So if you're not even on your computer, you can log into your Evernote account and get all your notes anywhere in the world. So at that, for those notebooks, you specify it's private. You can still get to it by logging into your account, or you can make it a public notebook, and anybody can look at it if you give them an address it. So it's very versatile.
yes, question.
If I have a lot of data in a different program, is there a way to import that data into Evernote in a common delimited file or somewhere like that?
Not that I'm aware of. Does anyone?
Well, it depends on what program it is. You can drag and drop documents over to it. So if you have a Word document open, you can drag it over there and it creates.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that would be quick. You have to do it for each one.
Also, for RSS feeds, you can have a feed that comes straight into Evernote instead of going into something like Feed.
What would you recommend as RSS aggregators?
He asked what I recommend as an RSS aggregator. Pardon me. Google read it, but it goes away July 1st. And a lot of them use Google Reader as a basis. I'm using Feedly and Feedler. Feedler is I'm using on my iPad. And Feedly is one that when Google Reader announced about 2 weeks ago that they were going to close down July 1st, Feedly went up 500,000 users. So it got a little bit slow and a little bit hard to get in there to register. But I'm using it. I'm having a little bit of time, and they have made a couple updates since then. It's not quite as easy for me to maneuver as Feedler, which is what I use on my iPad, but there isn't a Feedler for my Android or for the desktop. Feedly, there's all three. I can have it on my desktop, my iPad and iPhone, and then also on Android. What I like about Feedly is they are right now using Google Reader, some kind of an API or it's an application connection. So if I read it on my Android, it's marked as red when I open up my iPad. And that's what I like about Google Reader, and that does the same thing. And Feedler does it on my iPad, and as far as it connects to Google Reader as well. With Google Reader going away, this is going to become a problem. So Feedly is saying they are in the process, they saw this coming, and they're creating their own application in the background, so you'll have that same synchronization between it on all of your machines, and that to me is very important. So I've gone to Feedly, but Feedler is also saying they probably will attach, and they probably, Feedly is mentioning that they're going to put that out for others to use, so I'm hoping that somebody else and maybe Feedler will use the same engine. And so when I read it on one, I don't want to have to read it again on the other, or mark it as red on the other. And because I have that problem with emails. When I get a couple hundred emails a day, when I read them on my iPad, if I go to my Android or my desktop, they're still marked as unread. And they're still there. And so it's an issue for me when I'm looking at 1,700, 1,000 and 2,000 RSS feeds a day that I once I've looked at them or marked them as read, I'll just go down the whole article. The whole list of articles, there's usually a check mark, and it says, okay, this whole section is, you've marked it as read, even though there's maybe one article, maybe none that I'm interested in. And I can do that very quickly. So that allows me to read through them quite quickly. I don't want to end this early, but let me show you within this, now in this is premium and activity, and there's something called trunk, and what that allows you to do is browse the Evernote trunk for services that work great with Evernote. So there's a lot of additional programs. And so when I'm looking for a browser to use on my iPad, or I'm looking for, when I look at a program that's got information in it or something that I want to see if there's some Evernote connection. And more programs are saying that they're Evernote compatible and you can highlight information. You can't, Facebook is not. You can't highlight stuff in Facebook. So sometimes what I do is I'll do a screen capture on something, or if it's got a link to it, I'll go to the link, and then from the link, grab the information that I want. But I would like to have it with Facebook, so when I see that little note in Facebook or something, I can just grab it, throw it into Evernote, and it doesn't.
One other tip, when I create notes, I start them with year, month, day. Even though you can sort by when it was created, a lot of times the note is something that's several days or weeks old, and you wanted the date on it to be the date that was relevant to when you got it, rather than the date you actually created the note. Mm-hmm. And so almost all my notes start with that month, year, or day, year, month, day thing. Makes it very easy.
You can go into the notes and edit the date too.
Yeah.
And you can edit a lot of things, including, let's just go into something more general here. Oh, one thing I did, my rental car. I took a picture and put it in my Evernote, so if I can't find my rental car, there's how I found it. As I say, I use this a lot.
If you're traveling, you also take pictures of your passport and all your credit cards. On an individual note basis, you can encrypt it so that nobody can get into it, but you've always got it there.
You can encrypt the notes.
You can encrypt a note, and that encryption password is not stored anywhere up in the cloud. If you encrypt it, you better remember what the password is. Otherwise,
Yeah, there was no way
Is this
to.
only the premium or free?
that's both.
Okay.
Somebody else had asked, yeah, let's see, that was just the picture. This was on Facebook, and I grabbed screen capture with how to make it. It just looked too good to pass up.
It is, yeah.
Don't mean to make you hungry.
Yeah.
Okay, here's an article, and with pictures and the links. And by the way, the links work. So even though I grabbed the article and it's got some links in it, when I click on that, there's the link. I'm not going to mention the article, the item, because I've never used it, so I don't know anything about it. But the fact is that the information is there, including the links. And all I have to do is copy and paste it into it, or save the page. So when I do a lot of cleanup, a lot of times what I do is a lot of this kind of stuff. I'll go in, and then I'll just backspace. And so to delete, it's not as easy on the iPad and the iPhone because you can't really highlight anything. And you got to be careful because sometimes when you edit a whole bunch of stuff like this, it will change the format and the other information. But if I just hit delete, all that's gone. And I don't have to hit anything to save it. That's now the note. I can undo. There is an undo, but you can actually format and change the font if you don't like the way it looks in your note. So if it's some information you want to share with somebody, you can go in and make some editing. You can copy the note as another note and then make your changes and send it out as well. Yes?
One thing I found confusing in Evernote is, like if you're in a word processor or something, you can do a file save. But in Evernote, there's no save option.
It's saved.
Apparently, it just saves it as you go.
It saves as you go. If you do something and then it saved it. And when you sync on the other machine, whatever you just did is there. Whether you delete it or you add it or you hit something by mistake. So you want to be careful with your editing. So sometimes it's better to copy the note and you can do that. You can copy the whole note, but I think there is a way to duplicate a note. Note, copy, note, link, share, tag. So there's a lot of things you can do. In format, simplify formatting, remove formatting, and then there's some tools for syncing, options, clipping preferences, account info, which was that box that I had showed you. Import folders. So you can import folders, but I believe it's from another Evernote. So if you've got a friend that's got Evernote, they've got a folder they want to share with you, you can grab it and I believe get the whole thing. And again, to be honest with you, I haven't gone through all of these things. I'm still learning about it. There's so much to it. How many here do use Evernote? Not quite half, about around half of you. So the rest of you who don't, does this look interesting?
Yeah.
Does it look like it's going to save you some time and some effort?
Well, it is if it's going to take a learning, it's going to take a lot of learning.
Not a lot.
You don't think?
Trust me, not a lot. Play with it.
I was wondering, like you saying, like you go to a website and you're going to capture, the article or whatever. Now, is the capture you're using on your computer like the snipping tool, or?
No, let me show you. Let's go to a website. Give me a website. Let's go to...
Refdesk.com. 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 One of my favorites.
Oh, yeah, I've been there before. Okay, let's make it so, number one, you can say, close this. I'm at 150%. We want to see the whole screen, so let's make it probably 75 so we can get more information. Okay, let's say we want to save this information. I just highlight this. Yes.
I think you might just try the Control A, see if that does it.
Yeah, I don't do everything.
Oh, okay. You just
I'm just going to grab that piece of information.
Yeah.
See the Evernote here?
Yep.
Look that? Okay, it says okay. What do I want? Where do I want to save it? And it's actually, I don't know whether it's going to save it exactly. I think it's there, so we have to put it up here.
So you open Evernote first. And
No, well, Evernote.
Evernote first.
No, you really don't have to.
You just highlight and then.
It's just when you hit the button there, and I'm going to save it, and it's going to save it in the area. I don't want to
It
save
saves
it.
it out web.
So let's Evernote presentation, save selection. Now, and there it is. And it's my Evernote.
Wow.
It's interesting, if you got Evernote open on your desktop, it'll put it straight in. If you don't, it saves it to the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And then syncs it back down to your
Oh.
desktop next time you see it.
Oh, okay.
But that's how easy it is.
And another way to do that, by the way, there's a built-in screen clipper in Evernote with Windows print screen, so you can do Windows print screen and then highlight the area you want, and it puts it straight
You
in.
can
I've
do
never
this.
done that.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's what I was
You can
wondering.
do this and
You can do
highlight
that with-
in Evernote
Just
and
your
transfer it somewhere else.
Print
Yes.
screen.
Okay. Now,
Put a right-click on that little
Okay.
dot down there.
he just said, okay, now I've got an Evernote. You want to, what do you want to do?
Just part of it.
Okay, I want to just say, okay, I want this,
Yeah. Well, just, okay. Whatever.
this sentence.
Yeah.
I can copy it. I come up here to edit and do copy, or just Control C. That's my clipping. It makes a noise, and then
Click it another,
and then paste it into my document.
you never know, no whatever.
Or you can either create another Evernote, but if you want, you can be working on a WordPad article, or in Word, you're writing an article, you can go out, grab the information from Evernote, copy it and paste it into the article you're working on, or the letter, or the email that you're working on. Absolutely. Now, under share, it's ready to send out from my email, and if I go ahead and send it to somebody, I can put in whatever email address I want. I hit the word send, and it goes out and it gets sent. And what they'll see is the article, and it will say it came from Evernote, but it'll have my email address on it.
If you wanted to, as you explained, if you wanted that line, those two lines, to
Okay.
go to directly to another note in Evernote, can you do this without copy paste?
I'm not sure.
Do the Windows print screen, and it'll show you how to do it.
Oh, in the
Okay.
print screen, okay.
But under, let's see, share, oops, I did the drop down. You can send by email, Facebook, Twitter, link, or copy note to URL clipboard. So you can do those. You would have to copy and then paste it into another Evernote. To create an Evernote, it's very easy. And I just closed up Evernote, I think. is there. Windows 8 is still not in my mind fresh, but go back here, and you can just go into New Note, and it's ready for me to Control V, and there's that, and it's now saved. And I want it for presentation, and sync it. Back up here, go to all notes, and there it is. And you can click to add a tag, you can click to add the location and so on. All that information is there.
There's also other views you can do. You want to maybe show them the other views up there
Okay, the views of,
how the notes are displayed.
okay,
Up
right
in
here,
the
this.
clear, no, up clear where it says view on top.
Up at the top.
File edit view.
Way over to the left, over to the
Okay, this
left.
left, okay.
Ah, right there.
Military.
So you can do list view and thumbnail view.
If you do a list view, it looks like this. So it's,
And then do thumbnail view too.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So it gives you a little preview of what the note is.
Yeah.
I use it in that list view.
yeah, I do because I want the speed. But there's a lot to it, but it's easy to work with, and then you can personalize it and do it the way you want. I think our time is up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Comments or questions before we go? I hope you learned something, you got something, and it was worth your time. And thank you so much.
Clearly, description.